Hello, Post. Richard had never come up with a cool name for the other him. The monstrous version of himself. Other Richard. As close to a name as he came. He forgot one name. He heard... Let's see, what's that? Dark Half? Nah, that's a Stephen King book. They came for it. Close to the name as he came up with. Told me for the other him. The other him. Quite the monster. In a literal way. Killed and eaten many people. Never sparing anyone that the Jade fed to him. All those prisoners. The other him had been weak when he first transformed. But he grew incredibly strong on all that man flesh. Flesh. And child flesh. And so on. Child flesh. Richard couldn't remember if the guards who was ever fed just a cow or a goat or pig. Cow, goat, or pig. Pig. Perhaps the Jade would have found that too expensive. They were the kind of people who would consider a pig more valuable, pig's life more valuable than a human's, somehow. Probably because, as foul as Jade were, most were not cannibals. The pig, so the flesh of the pig would be for them, not for their captives in the camp. In the various camps, POW or otherwise. Richard was pretty sure the other him ate enough POWs to fill a camp. He hoped to God that their families never found out what a terrible end they meant. Richard found himself memories of those victims coming to the surface. All those terrified faces, often right up close to his own scaly face. The other Richard started eating his victims before they were dead. And his meaty, and the sound of his meaty biting was often accompanied by horrendous screams. Richard wondered if his jailers hard time listening to such noise. Maybe some of them did. The ones that were more human. I'm saying that metaphorically. They're all humans. I suppose when he fought Dummy, he was at his strongest. He was very muscular and used to his transformed body. Just a second, folks. Sorry, folks. I had to say something. Someone was talking in their sleep. Moving in their sleep. Kicking their legs, Some people, it's a terrible problem. There's some medicine he took a while ago. I don't know if he's still on it or not. It causes you to have really crazy dreams and to kick your legs and yell and scream and stuff. I don't know why it happens like that, but you know, all these weird side effects to all the drugs in the world, you know? It doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Okay, let's see. It's very agile. And probably as deadly as any wild animal times 10 or 20. He had been wounded. He had been wounded in battle and had an advanced healing ability. He could heal injuries that would leave in a day, that would leave ordinary humans at death's door for weeks or months. Richard remembered feeling so strong as his other self, like he was a god himself, and could never be defeated. It was thus ironic that the other Richard ended up beaten by a being many considered a god. Flashback. 2 weeks after the end of the Jade War. So this is a post-war story, this little flashback. The Jade Continent. Local time 8:31 p.m. The other Richard the Monster, had been freed in the great cave network that served as the perimeter for the Phantom Research Facility. Official designation. Call Tower in Jade. One of the 3 research facilities located on the Jade Continent. Deep underground. The facility was one of the last known. It was home to 200 researchers and about 50 guards. Dr. Phantom was not among them, having been captured by Dominique, by Chromish commandos, years earlier. Not years earlier, what's the term? Let's see, the command days earlier for the atomic bombing of Dalada. This was unknown to the Jade Army garrison, to the staff of the facility. Excuse me a moment, folks. What? Yeah, and I'm back. Someone was just showing me this disaster in California. 34 people with fire on a boat, unaccounted for. Sounds really terrible stuff. It's like, you know. Another thing I don't like is writing tragic stuff like that. I prefer to write stuff like this, where it's men at arms fighting each other, you know. Like a fair fight, because we want some fairness in the world, you know. We don't want to hear about people having their lives stolen from them with no good reason for it, you know, like some plane crash or some train accident or something. We want to... I guess we want things to happen for a reason. See, this was unknown to the staff of the facility. The staff... That's not enough. They didn't know. Informed of Dr. Phantom's capture and were actually waiting for her return to the facility, being rather monstrous in nature, being like a female version of Richard's form, the Eve to his Adam. She could handle herself out there. She was also sentient in her monstrous form, unlike Richard, who was cunning in an animalistic way, but far less sentient, but still far from sentient. The staff was in communication with the Zetan army in the region, who were trying to get Jade forces still in the field on the continent to surrender. When the official surrender notice went out, quite a few Jade forces surrendered within an hour. Now 2 weeks later, it seemed like only the diehards were still spoiling for a fight. The Jade forces in hiding on the continent were the only remaining armed Jade. All Jade, almost all Jade. All Jade outside the continent, stranded in various parts of the world, had surrendered their arms. Some had chosen to die in battle. Battle is one last hurrah for the Jade Empire. Even as they fought and died, the Jade Empire had been declared dead by the Emperor's successor, and a Xenocratic Republic had been proclaimed. The continent was a republic. Mostly in name only. Mostly just in name. Just in name. At the moment. It was under full military occupation. All the cities were, let's see, is this days? I changed the word Reich, so I had to change the Reich marks, the abbreviation, from RM to SM. All the cities of the continent occupied. Most of the secret facilities underground and built underground and in mountains had fallen to the, had been captured, and the Zetan army high command eventually convinced itself that there were no remaining secret facilities. Jade Continent. It turned out later that they had missed quite a few rabbit holes. Is it racist to call Asians rabbits or refer to their hiding places as rabbit holes? I'm just wondering. Let's see. I mean, it's a positive thing, I think, to be associated with the rabbit. Let's see. The Phantom Research Facility staff had failed to respond to inquiries, a sign that the occupants decided they would fight to the end. Regular Zetan forces. Just a second. Yeah, I just checked again on somebody talking in their sleep. Yeah, they're doing some more Brady Bunch stuff. The Brady Bunch seems to have a reputation outside of its cultural thing. I mean, didn't they only last like 2 seasons and then the show was done? Or shows that have been, I mean, there have been many shows that have lasted like for a decade or more, like 10 seasons, and it just disappeared from the cultural landscape. And it just is kind of weird to me, you know? It's like, who at the top decides that the Brady Bunch is so important that it needs to stick around? Should have died with the 70s. We'll fight to the end. Is this one of those things like, who likes Brady Bunch in an unironic way anymore? Regular Zetan forces had surrounded the entrance. Some nasty cave hole. Some nasty mouth-like opening. All ragged. About the size of a big cliff. If someone had put some demolition charges in there, they would have some demonstration. Had someone to put some demolition charge about it, they could have sealed the place up, and no one would have realized what it was. Any would have known anything was there. The Zetan troops were about as the Zetan troops, being mostly green, were about as eager to enter that cave as little kids would be to enter some haunted house, neighborhood haunted house. The war was over now. Nobody wanted to get the first soldier killed in the occupation of the Jade Continent. A dangerous occupation, as time would show. I'll breathe a sigh of relief when Chromish Commando unit was brought in to secure the cave. And there were some of the Zetans volunteered When the Zedin troops saw that Dominique Richington was with them, with the commandos, then some of the Zedin commandos changed their Zedin troops changed their tune when they saw that Dominique Richington was with the commandos. Almost wrote Comanche for a second, watching a show about the Comanche. Fictional show, so, you know. It's quite a thing to see all that history that was almost lost, thanks to the brutality of the war between the Americans and the natives that lived here. Let's see. There's the commandos. Some volunteered to go into the cave with them. You'd feel safe with me? Dami asked the Zedin troops who volunteered. Oh, you are a goddess, one of them replied. So then asked, what do we need to fear? You'll just... What could they possibly have in that facility? Something bad. Something nasty and inhuman. Dami replied. Something that we should keep our distance. Something nasty and human. I can sense it from here. Somewhere deep inside the cave. A monster. One of the volunteers. Suddenly he sounded a lot more reluctant to go in. You may retract your volunteering if you wish, Dami said. The trio of volunteers agreed, and they... yes, ma'am. One of the three said. Headed off. Soon joined by the other two. There were some jeers from their comrades at their sudden return to cowardliness. Dami addressed her chief of the commandos, Captain... Let's see, where's his name? Captain Blake. And her colleague, the scientist colleague, Dr. Rupert Warg, who was decked out in commando gear like the others. They better quit their mocking, jeering. If they're not careful, our officer will volunteer them all to accompany us. Dami said. Blake and Warg. I wouldn't mind a few extra bodies, Blake admitted, and to secure our rear. Berserk here, where keep guys from enemy from ambushing us from the shadows. Plus, with more men, we'll be able to fan out more, push through quicker. Blake was a young and rugged commando officer who had been in the infantry most of the Jade War. In the last year, after E-Day, he was transferred to the Black Berets. Chromish Special Forces Unit. The Grey Berets into Special Unit 09. His current unit. He had joined them as a loot under two higher ranking officers to replace a fallen loot. The two men, the two higher officers, two officers in charge of the unit above him, a captain and a major, had both been killed in action. A lot of men, the unit had experienced a lot of turnover, and due to the bloodiness of the war, about half the guys who were in the unit when Blake first joined it were still alive. Blake didn't count the two guys messed up so bad and in the fight. One of them, both were in a coma. One of them unlikely to ever wake up, and the other likely to wish he never would, since he was, the doctors believed he was pretty much paralyzed from the eyes down. Blake had the looks of a commando man. Had the looks of a commando man. With his rugged, kind of shaggy black hair and steely eyes, square jaw. He was only 25. 0049, but looked older. He was pretty muscular, though he joked that he was twig-like when he first signed up for the infantry. Volunteering the same day he heard that his brother had been killed in action. Found out his brother had been killed in action. He was turned down initially as being medically unfit, but after the 1 month war, the slaughter of the 1 month war, the army could not be so discriminating. Did they desegregate? I keep checking alt history if I desegregate and whatnot. Oh, folks, gotta sign off. Have a nice day.